What if I told you that one of the most influential partnerships in modern American politics began with a 22-year-old college dropout confronting a billionaire in a hotel elevator? A meeting that almost never happened, involving a young man who was told he was too inexperienced to matter, and a presidential candidate who was about to make the biggest mistake of his campaign. December 2015. Donald Trump was climbing in the Republican primary polls, but there was one demographic he couldn't crack: young voters. His campaign advisors kept telling him it didn't matter, that young people don't vote anyway. But Trump knew something they didn't. He understood that energy wins elections, and the energy wasn't coming from his side. Picture this: the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. The smell of expensive cologne and leather fills the air as political operatives network in the marble lobby. Trump steps into a gold-plated elevator, checking his phone, when a young man in a sharp suit slips in just as the doors close. That young man was Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, and he was about to change everything. "Mr. Trump," Kirk said, his voice steady despite his racing heart, "your campaign is making a catastrophic mistake, and I can prove it to you in 60 seconds. Trump looked up, intrigued. Here was this kid, maybe 22 years old, telling a billionaire businessman that he was wrong. Most people would have been thrown out of that elevator. But Trump, the man who built an empire on calculated risks, decided to listen. Kirk pulled out his phone and showed Trump something that would haunt the campaign for weeks. Video after video of packed auditoriums filled with young conservatives, all chanting for someone else. Bernie Sanders was mobilizing an army of young voters, while Trump's rallies looked like retirement home gatherings. "These kids aren't just voting," Kirk said as the elevator climbed. "They're volunteering, they're donating, they're convincing their friends. You're losing the future of the Republican Party, and you don't even know it." The elevator dinged at penthouse level. Trump stepped out, turned back, and said 5 words that would reshape American conservative politics. "You have my attention, kid." What followed was a series of secret strategy sessions that even Trump's closest advisors didn't know about. Kirk would fly to Trump Tower under false name, meeting in conference rooms after midnight when the building was empty. Trump, the man who never admitted mistake, was learning from someone young enough to be his grandson. But here's where the story gets truly remarkable. Kirk didn't just want to help Trump win. He wanted to build something bigger. He had a vision of conservative students on every college campus in America, and Trump had the platform to make it happen. The problem was, Trump's existing team thought Kirk was just another young opportunist trying to ride the campaign's success. Now imagine you're 22 years old and you're trying to convince seasoned political operatives that you understand young voters better than they do. What would you do when they dismiss you? When they call your ideas naive? When they try to push you out of the most important campaign of your generation? Kirk chose to prove them wrong in the most dramatic way possible. In March 2016, just days before a crucial primary debate, he presented Trump with a challenge. Let him organize a youth rally in a college town where Trump was polling in single digits among students. If it failed, Kirk would walk away from the campaign forever. The rally was scheduled for Arizona State University in the heart of liberal Tempe. Trump's campaign manager called it political suicide. Even Trump had doubts. The night before the event, he called Kirk at 2 a.m. "Charlie," Trump said, his usual confidence shaken, "what if nobody shows up? What if this thing backfires?" Kirk's response revealed the steel beneath his youthful exterior. "Mr. Trump, great leaders don't play it safe. They bet on the future." The next afternoon, something extraordinary happened. Students who had never shown interest in Republican politics began lining up hours before the event. The venue, planned for 500 people, was surrounded by over 2,000 young conservatives. Social media exploded with images of college students wearing red MAGA hats, many for the first time. But the real magic happened when Trump took the stage. Gone was his usual routine of attacking the media and his opponents. Instead, guided by Kirk's coaching, he spoke directly to young Americans about their dreams, their student debt, their job prospect. For 20 minutes, the billionaire New Yorker connected with college kids in a way that surprised even his harshest critics.
Which side do you believe? The official campaign story that Trump's youth outreach was always part of the plan? Or the hidden truth that a 22-year-old activist had to fight his way into the inner circle to make it happen? Tell us below. And here is a question just for you. Do you remember the very first Trump rally you saw on television? Share your memory in the comments. That Arizona rally became the blueprint for dozens of campus events across America. Kirk's Turning Point USA grew from a small organization to a powerhouse with chapters on over 2,500 campuses. But more importantly, it proved that the conservative movement could speak to young Americans without compromising its principles. The partnership faced its biggest test in October 2016, when leaked audio from 2005 threatened to destroy Trump's campaign. While establishment Republicans abandoned ship, Kirk made a decision that would define his career. He organized emergency rallies on college campuses, arguing that young conservatives shouldn't abandon their movement because of past mistakes. Perfection is the enemy of progress, Kirk told packed auditoriums across swing states. We can demand better while still fighting for our future. Those rallies, organized by students and powered by Kirk's grassroots network, may have saved Trump's campaign.
Internal polling showed that young conservative turnout in key states exceeded all projections, often by margins that matched Trump's final victory totals. Years later, reflecting on their unlikely partnership, Trump would say that Kirk taught him something crucial. The young people aren't the future of our movement. They are our movement. But perhaps the most telling moment came in 2020, when Trump, facing the end of his presidency, called Kirk with a simple message. Keep building, Charlie. What we started, you have to finish. Today, that 22-year-old who confronted a billionaire in a hotel elevator leads one of the most influential conservative organizations in America. The boy who was told he was too young to matter proved that sometimes the most powerful voice in the room belongs to someone brave enough to use it. Here is the song that Charlie Kirk loves the most. See you in the next video.